according to the president. The president tweeted that this morning. He says this: Mexico has the absolute power not to let these large caravans of people enter their country. They must stop them at the northern border, which they can do because their border laws work. Not allow them to pass through into our country, which has no effective border laws. Congress must immediately pass border legislation, writes the president. He says use the nuclear option if necessary to stop the massive inflow of drugs and people. Border Patrol agents and ICE are great, but the weak Democratic laws don't allow them to do their job. Act now, Congress, the president writes. Our country is being stolen. He goes on to say this: DACA is dead because the Democrats did not care or act, and now everyone wants to get onto the DACA bandwagon. No longer works. Must build the wall and secure our borders with proper border legislation. Democrats want no borders, hence drugs and crime. This comes after what the president said yesterday when he went into Easter services. Watch.
Mexico has got to help us at the border. If they're not going to help us at the border, it's a very sad thing between two countries. Mexico has got to help us at the border. And a lot of people are coming in because they want to take advantage of DACA. And we're going to have to really see. They had a great chance. The Democrats blew it. They had a great chance. But we'll have to take a look. But Mexico has got to help us at the border. They flow right through Mexico. They send them into the United States. Can't happen that way anymore.
Joining us now is the Fox News senior judicial analyst, Judge Andrew Napolitano. Judge, good to see you.
Good morning. Good morning, guys.
Do you believe that the president will, in fact, deport the DACA recipients?
No. I think, knowing the president as I do, and now I'm wearing my hat not as a former judge, but as a person that knows him. This is, and Congressman Chaffetz may agree with me or disagree on this, this is a negotiating technique on his part to get the Democrats back to the table. I mean, he did condemn that legislation as he signed it, and I'm with Dagan on this. I don't think he should have signed it. He should have sent a message that this thing has so many flaws in it, not the least of which was DACA, not the least of which was the money for the border. The laws are there. They need the cash to hire the people, to give them the resources to enforce the law. And, of course, they should have done something about sanctuary cities. I forget if it's the Daily News or the New York Post this morning has a headline that says, President Schumer. Now, before you have a heart attack, it's Sunday morning talk shows saying Schumer this time got the best of the Republicans.
Yes. Yeah.
The last time it was the other way around. This time he got the best, almost to the point where we're talking off air whether Republican leadership
I think that was
stays.
a quote that Ann Coulter called Trump that was a quote from Ann Coulter.
Well, she had an interview with Frank Bruni of the New York Times. His column consisted of a word-for-word interview with her, which is about the most aggressive, tenacious attacks on the President of the United States I've ever heard from a Republican and former supporter.
Wow. We were one
it was a lot of name calling.
Yeah.
We were one sentence away from having the ability to crack down on sanctuary cities, but they didn't add that sentence, and they didn't call the bluff of Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi. And I think there's a lot of regret, a lot of people who recognize that the first time we went to shut down discussions, Schumer couldn't handle it and work to fund the government. But one sentence would have solved that, right?
Let me just give a little baseline on the law. DACA, as it now exists, is a series of executive orders, 12 of them, signed by Barack Obama. It is not a statute enacted by the Congress. But because so many people have relied on it for so long, the courts have said, Mr. President, you can stop people from entering the program. You can't kick people out who are already in it. There are over 800,000 people that are in it. Right. So under the Constitution, Congress writes the laws. The president has a great deal of leeway with foreign policy, and immigration is one of his tools for foreign policy. But he's stymied because the Democrats won't negotiate and the courts won't budge.
Why didn't the leadership do anything about this?
I'm telling you, I think it was a big failure. And the other thing is, they just needed the funding. Like you said earlier, the laws are already on the books. But if they want to build the wall, they needed to fund it. And to send a bill to the president without the funding was just...
I don't know why he signed it.
I have to tell you, I was ecstatic at the threats of veto that Saturday morning. But then, of course, he didn't do it. And I have to correct him, if I may. The catch and release is not the law of the land. That was the policy of the Border Patrol under Obama. You know, he can change that with a phone call or the stroke of a pen.
Well, I think that's absolutely ridiculous that we have to take in whoever comes to the border. We can't just send them back home.
Well, this is dangerous and demoralizing, because Border Patrol agents risk their job to catch these kids. 2 days later, they see the same kids coming right at them again because they were released after they were caught.
Exactly. Listen, Democrats have been smart on the messaging side, though. They've made this a humanitarian issue, which makes it really, really hard to disagree with. And so I think it's fascinating the why now, right? Dagan, you always talk about this why now. And I think you know, the president right now talking about this after he's been, you know, criticized for a failure. And Coulter's saying that really blasting him on his immigration policy and the disappointment in him not doing things. And now there's a lot of tweets coming out about this issue, right?